All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are diving deep into the final chapter of Revelation, which paints this incredible picture of a restored world. But here's what's wild: how this ancient vision of the future connects back to a specific judgment from the Old Testament, and, believe it or not, to a very famous American author. Okay, let's get into it. So the vision kicks off with this stunning image. Just picture it: a pure river, not just of water, but of the water of life, and it's flowing right from the very throne of God. It's such a powerful cinematic way to open, setting the stage for a world that's been completely made new. Okay, so to really get what's happening here, we need to decode a couple of key symbols that John gives us: the water of life and the tree of life. And these aren't just pretty poetic words. They are absolutely packed with meaning that you see echoed all the way through the scriptures. So what is this water of life anyway? Well, you can think of it as a symbol for the Spirit of God itself. And this isn't some new idea. Prophets like Ezekiel and Zechariah had similar visions of these life-giving waters flowing out from Jerusalem, literally turning deserts green and healing the seas. So this water represents a divine power that can actively reverse old curses and heal a physically broken land. And then, right there next to the river, you have the tree of life. It's described as bearing 12 different kinds of fruit, one for each month, which symbolizes Christ and the 12 apostles. But get this: its leaves are for the healing of the nations. It's a really cool distinction. The river is healing the land, but the tree is all about bringing spiritual healing and eternal life to people. Now, to really appreciate the power of all this healing, we have to go back and understand what needed to be healed in the first place. The whole story of this restoration actually starts thousands of years earlier, with an ancient judgment, a curse that was placed on this exact same land. Way back in the book of Deuteronomy, Moses laid out a really clear choice for the people of Israel. It was simple: if you're obedient, God will bless you and your land will thrive. But if you're disobedient, a curse will fall. You'll be scattered, and the land itself will become a desolate wasteland. But here's where it gets strangely specific. Tucked away inside this warning was this very precise prophecy. It said that one day, a stranger, someone from a faraway country, would show up, see how desolate the land had become, and then they would declare what they saw to the entire world. That declaration was the key. So, who on earth could this prophesied stranger be? Well, the answer our source material points to is completely unexpected. It's the famous American writer Mark Twain. I know, right? The story of how this all supposedly played out is just fascinating. Just look at the sheer scope of this timeline. You've got the curse being pronounced way, way back, around 1400 BC. Then, fast forward to 70 AD, the Romans come in, and the land's desolation really kicks into high gear. And after that, basically radio silence for almost 2,000 years, until 1867, when this American tourist, Mark Twain, visits and starts taking notes for a travel book. And when you actually read what Twain wrote, it's pretty jaw-dropping. Describing the Holy Land, he said, "The valleys are unsightly deserts, fringed with a feeble vegetation, sorrowful and despondent." I mean, come on. That sounds like a perfect match for the ancient prophecy of a cursed, desolate land. So, did his declaration actually get out to the world? Oh yeah. His book, Innocents Abroad, sold a whopping 70,000 copies in just its first year. It was a massive bestseller. A stranger from a far land had seen the desolation, and, just like the prophecy said, he declared it to the nations. But here's the most amazing part of the whole story. According to the prophecy, that stranger's declaration wasn't the end. Nope. It was the trigger. It was the starting gun that signaled the long, long period of judgment was finally over and the time for healing and restoration was about to kick off. And Deuteronomy is super clear about the order of events. It says after the stranger makes his declaration, then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have mercy on you. In other words, the curse had to be seen and declared before the blessing of restoration could begin. And the prophet Isaiah gives us this beautiful, beautiful picture of what that restoration would look like. It's the complete opposite of what Mark Twain saw. The desolate wilderness would be glad, and the desert would rejoice and blossom as the rose. This is the healing power of those waters of life we were talking about in action. So all of this brings us right back to where we started, in Revelation 22. This whole historical cycle,
of a curse and then a restoration in the Holy Land is seen as a kind of pattern or a foreshadowing of the ultimate final restoration of everything that's described in this last chapter. So what's the very first promise we get in this new, restored world? And there shall be no more curse. That's it. This is the complete final reversal of that ancient judgment from Deuteronomy. The cycle is broken, done, forever. And the next promise points to this incredible new intimacy. In this New Jerusalem, people are going to live right there with God, serving Him and literally seeing Him face to face. It's all about a total restoration of that relationship. The vision also says there shall be no night there. Now, this is probably symbolic. The idea isn't that the sun just hangs in the sky forever, but that the light and the glory of God Himself are so overwhelming and constant that there's just no room for darkness, literal or spiritual. And finally, the promise of an eternal future. But not just sitting around on clouds, right? It's a future of active purpose, a future of peace, of meaning, and of reigning with God forever and ever. It's really the ultimate conclusion to this massive story of restoration. So when you pull it all together, from an ancient curse in Deuteronomy to a travel book by Mark Twain, all the way to a vision of an eternal city in Revelation, it's this profound story of restoration. And it leaves you with a really compelling question. Where else might these ancient patterns and prophecies be echoing, maybe without us even noticing, in our own modern history? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.